Welcome back to Boxing Info. I know it's been a good many weeks since I've done a show, and I've been busy with other stuff, and also sitting here playing the waiting game with YouTube, because I'm going to be honest with you folks, as I always have been in the past. I'm not going to keep doing 10-minute videos and trying to squash a bunch of information into 10 minutes. If they don't want to make good on my application for partnership like I had before, it has nothing to do with the money. Believe me, I don't need their couple of pennies or whatever. I mean, people could advertise their garbage all over my videos anyway. I don't care. It's more about having more time to do videos. I'm going to do these as I feel like doing them. In any event, but I know a lot of you were sitting out there asking me, why I've been very busy and it's fallen down the priority chain, because, why go through the trouble of doing this when the host website doesn't seem to appreciate it? I mean, voice your opinion then. I'm going to go do a little bit of a recap here and go back to where I left off, because I think the last thing I previewed was the Witter Ortiz Maidana whole scenario, and what an upset that was, because I thought for sure Witter Ortiz was, I don't even know if I previewed that show, was going to go through Maidana in the middle rounds. Got that one all wrong, and Maidana showed he belongs. The Argentine, got off the deck and knocked Ortiz silly, basically. I'm not going to do a recap, but it was a pleasant surprise for me, just to say the least. And most of you voiced your opinion about Golden Boy's prospect there. Don't like the way that Ortiz checked out of the fight, but you know what? He'll live to fight another day. Also, since then, I'll go through the deaths also, but I was thinking about another result that was kind of shocking, that I would have predicted wrong, and I did in my mind predict wrong, and that was Joseph King Kong Agbeko scoring a unanimous decision, too close on the judges' scorecards than what I thought, over Agbeko Darchinyan. And I thought that Agbeko Darchinyan would either win a clear-cut decision or stop Agbeko in the middle to late rounds, but for some reason Agbeko was not affected by Darchinyan's punches, and Agbeko was the busier of the two fighters. I don't know if Darchinyan took this fight lightly. I doubt it, but I think he even admitted he knew he lost the fight. He was outworked over the 12 rounds. A good win for Agbeko. I'd like to see some unification take place in that division and bring some of the fighters from Asia westward here, or even further east than where they are, and get to the west. Also, as I'm thinking of what has happened in recent past, it'll come to me. But anyway, also we've had a trio of deaths, as you all well know, and we've talked about. First was Alexis Arguello being found dead of an apparent suicide, bullet to the chest in his home in Nicaragua. I am kind of bummed and curious about how in the world the press has given very little to this. ESPN, HBO, I mentioned this on my channel comments, that the reason why we got HBO back in 1982 was just to see that fight, that my dad had to see that fight, because he was convinced that Alexis Arguello was going to make history. I think even as a 12-year-old, I kind of knew better, but not to say I knew everything, because it's like I tell my wife all the time, I don't know everything. But we got HBO. We had Showtime all along, but we got HBO in November of 1982 to see Alexis Arguello fight Aaron Pryor. And I cannot believe that HBO has not re-aired that fight, or re-aired some type of a little throw-together show. I mean, they throw together the crappiest commentary, some of the crappiest commentary in the history of the world, but they couldn't do, basically have a, remember Alexis Arguello type rerun of the Pryor Arguello show. I think really what it is that people would actually hear the telecast with Barry Tompkins and Larry Merchant and Sugar Ray Leonard and think to themselves, wait, why did they replace those guys with the garbage they have now? And basically the Margarito haters, and that's why they want to keep away from that telecast being aired. That's one of the conspiracy theories anyway. All right, then. Of course, Artur Caddade found dead in Brazil, and the initial thought was that his wife killed him in his sleep or strangled him or did something, And the thing about this is that they've come full circle now and said that they've released her from suspicion. They think that was an apparent suicide or something like that. I'm on the email listings for several of the promoters, and main events right away, as soon as this news broke about the Brazilian authorities releasing the wife from suspicion or from blame for this, put out a message saying that Pat Lynch, as well as main events, is putting forth their own investigation. And I also got an email today saying the coroner in Quebec, Canada, also wants documentation, because nobody believes that this was a suicide. It stinks of foul play, and the human highlight reel, deserves all. If you measure him and Arguello, Arguello's like here in boxing royalty and history, and Gaddy, may he rest in peace. I mean, no disrespect to him or his family. Was the Ray Mancini and the exciting fighters of this generation, and for the love and adoration he got, he deserves every bit of it, because he left nothing in the ring. He gave it all to us, the fans. And then a couple of weeks ago, right here in Georgia, Vernon Forrest made the mistake of filling up his tires in a bad neighborhood, not a bad neighborhood, but a questionable neighborhood, and got into a little bit of a melee with somebody asking for money who swiped his wallet. And from the reports I read, he went chasing after that person and got himself shot 7 or 8 times in the head, in the torso, and the thigh, and lost his life. They just had his funeral, I believe, yesterday, and Oscar De La Hoya and Shane Mosley were reportedly here for it. And this is just unbelievable. These bad things just happen in multiples. And to continue, now we want to, as we pay our respects to those who have fallen, I wanted to wrap up with a little recap of last week's fights, because I want to do another show talking about the documentary and stuff like that. And last week's fights on Showtime, Showtime's been picking it up lately, haven't they? Devon Alexander became the WBC junior welterweight or super lightweight titleist when he stopped Junior Witter after the 8th round, and Witter earned his slang nickname the Shitter. What a terrible! And this is what he did against Zab Judah. I mean, there was a dangerous guy in front of him, and he did not engage. I mean, and the thing is, I just don't think he had the firepower or the style to keep off Alexander. And Alexander hurt him a few times in the fight. I thought Alexander was going to knock him out. And I'm sure some of Alexander's people are a little bit dismayed that Witter quit, because I think it was Alexander's coming out party, and a fight between him and Timothy Bradley would have been something else. I think Bradley, as I'll talk about, has a little bit too much for him at this point in time. The main event, which was much anticipated, was Timothy Bradley defending his WBO version, the title he got from Kendall Holt, that he kept against Nate Campbell. And I was expecting this to be a toss-up. Both of these fights I thought would be a toss-up, even though I didn't do a preview show. And I thought that in this fight, Bradley's exuberance would get him as far as he would go, and Campbell's experience would offset that. That's my thoughts, and possibly, the fight could go either way. Excuse me. But right away, Bradley jumped on top of Campbell, and let me be clear about this here. A butt caused that cut. Now, in defense of the referee Mendoza, Bradley was landing a plethora of punches on Campbell's head. I mean, let's be clear about that. But the video gave conclusive evidence that a butt caused that cut, and the fight should have been no contest. I really think that's what Campbell was thinking when he told him that he saw spots. And the doctor said that the fight wasn't stopped because of the cut. It was stopped because that they think Campbell had bleeding behind his eye, and that's why he was seeing red spots. I'm going to tell you this. This is the California Athletic